Country Peony. Welcome. I'm going to wait for a couple of you to get on, and I just wanted to introduce myself. If you're new here, my name's Elizabeth with Country Peony, and Country Peony is a blog that focuses on simple and inexpensive DIY and craft projects. And I found Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint several years ago. I love to go thrifting, and I was inspired to use their paint because I wanted to finish a chair that I found. And I loved how incredibly simple it was, and so I thought it'd be perfect for my audience that loves to focus on simple projects. And so I thought it'd be really fun to start incorporating it into my crafting projects. And that's what we're gonna do today. So with the new year, it's all about refreshing. And I love Christmas. I'm honestly a little bit sad when I have to take Christmas down, but I've also got 3 little children, and as you can imagine, that comes with a lot of wonderful gifts and toys and so forth. But it's a lot. It's a lot in our small farmhouse. So I'm all for refreshing. And I love to go thrifting. And one of my favorite things to thrift is baskets, because baskets can be really expensive at big box stores. And so I love to get them at thrift stores. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be refreshing baskets in 2 different ways to use in your home and to kind of give you a fresh start for storage for the new year. So I see some of you coming on. Welcome. Please let me know where you're coming from. I'm so excited you're here, and I wanted to thank Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint for having me. I love working with Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint, and I'm just so excited to be a part of this. So Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint can answer the questions if you have any, but I'll try to answer them as well. So let's get started. Today we're going to be making a more modern basket approach, and we're also going to be doing a more vintage inspired approach, which is my personal fave. I love vintage, I love chippy, I love things that tell a story, which is why I love to go thrifting. So let me show you what I've already created, and then we're going to work on that today. So I've created 2 baskets for you. The first one is a more modern approach with these really fun stripes. And so we're going to be making this one, as well as we're going to be staining a basket to give it a fun vintage feel. So I love this basket. I found it thrifting. I love keeping my craft supplies in here. I love keeping my kids' school supplies in here. I just wanted to show this one to you because I think it's so cute. And if you ever go thrifting, honestly, this basket comes in handy all the time. And we all know that a big basket is phenomenal for storing your blankets, kids' toys, whatever. And so I highly recommend, if you see a basket at the thrift store, this size especially, to pick it up. So we're going to be making these 2 today, and I just wanted to show you those 2 styles because it also showcases the versatility of the milk paint. So we're going to start off with the stained finish, which gives it a more vintage antique feel. For this one particularly, I use my favorite color, which is Arabesque. So Arabesque is a beautiful dusty pink. It's actually the color that I use most often just because it's my favorite, but you could use any color when you're staining a basket. And this leads you to so many options. So you see a basket at a thrift store. It could be a great gift basket. You can put fun goodies in there. I know we just finished Christmas, but Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, teacher's gifts, all the things. And then you can paint the basket to fit your recipient's favorite color. So, and again, any of Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint colors can go to a stain, so that's a must. A really cool thing. Okay, so for today's basket, I'm going to use this one. I'm sure it's a pretty color. I'm just not really into the orange feel of it. Hello, James. Thanks for being here. And so what we're going to be doing is we are going to, for your stain, normally if you're just painting with the milk paint, you want to do 1 part milk paint to 1 part water. But for today, for this first project, we're going to be making a stain out of it. So it's 2 parts water to 1 part milk paint. And this project is really good for, it's an inexpensive project because the baskets don't cost a lot to start with. And then you use minimal milk paint. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the stain. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use my fancy new Ironstone, which is this gorgeous white, and oh my goodness, it takes to the baskets so well. And this is the new packaging for Miss Mustard Seed's Milk Paint. If you haven't read up on the rebranding and everything with the milk paint, I highly recommend it because it is really cool what they've done to the product. So we're gonna do the stain first. So we're just gonna do 1 part milk paint. So I normally do a tablespoon when I'm working with my projects because a little bit goes a long way. So we're gonna do 1 tablespoon milk paint to 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, and then we're just gonna mix it together. So the new milk paint mixes really easily together, and also the pigments and the particles really integrate well, so you're not left with a lot of clumps and so forth. And it's really, really fun. I was so excited to open the new packaging, and I highly recommend you checking out their website because they've got a wonderful amount of resources about the new milk paint and what changes they've made to it, and also their new products. They've got some really fun new products out there. But the new milk paint is 100% natural. It's got casein, it's got lime, it's got natural pigment, and now it's plant-based. So it's 100% natural. Okay, so that's it. I'm done mixing up the paint. So it's actually extra watery and liquidy because it is a stain. Normally you want kind of a pancake batter, and here it's really drippy, which is what I want. And then for this, I'm just gonna use, I think this is a 2-inch paintbrush, just so I can get better coverage with it. And I will mention before we get started, this process is very messy. So I put out my kids' play mat, but I do recommend you put something to cover your surface. But the cleanup is a breeze. And honestly, it is so much fun. Okay, so that's a little bit too thick. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Sometimes you have to play with it a little bit. And that's one thing I love about the milk paint is you really can't go wrong. It's it's an experiment. It's almost like I'm back in science class. Okay, I think that might be a little bit better. I might not have put enough water in it initially. So you're just gonna kind of brush it on. I still wanna add a little bit more water. This Ironstone, the coverage on this Ironstone is incredible, which I know sometimes the whites in the past have been hard because it takes several coats. This is incredible. Hi, Jennifer. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more water because I still want it to be a little bit milkier than what it currently is. But you're just gonna roughly paint that on very easily. And the baskets take to the paint so incredibly well. The coverage is wonderful. So you're just gonna paint all the way around. And normally I recommend when you're working with milk paint to do at least 2 coats, if not more. But for this project, for the staining feature, I think 1 coat is sufficient. Because then it's almost more of you get more coverage if you do more than 1. And that's not really the look we're going for. And I do recommend painting the inside of the basket just because it's visible, but it's up to you. And that's the beauty with all of this. You get to do what you want. You can just have fun and play with it. Okay, so you kind of see it starting to come together. It's creating a fun stained effect. I didn't have very much coverage, and so I don't want a whole lot of coverage. I want that more vintage feel. Jennifer, I got the basket while I was thrifting. You know, I spent a couple of dollars on it, and that's what I was saying. You can use baskets that you have around your home, and so you can use whatever you have on hand, or you can find baskets that are thrifting. So that's the look of the vintage feel. Very, very simple. Let it dry. It takes about 30 minutes to dry. And then if you want, you can apply a top coat. I did not apply a top coat to mine, but it's completely up to you. And so just to showcase again the versatility of it, this is the Arabesque. It gives it a really fun vintage feel. This is one coat. I did not, you can kind of see the difference. It just gives it a really, really fun vintage feel. So now let's go more modern. Okay, so when I think of modern, I think of clean, simple lines, beautiful, bold colors, and this is also a thrifted basket, believe it or not. I think I got this for about 10 bucks, whereas if I were to purchase it from a big box store, we're talking 40, 50, maybe more, okay? So what I've already done here, I used the green painter's tape. And fun fact, I was watching Kathy Young's live last month, and she recommended the green over the blue. And so I was partial to the blue. I tried the green painter's tape, and it's fantastic. So I recommend using green painter's tape. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, so what I've already done is I taped off 2 lines to create a thick line in the middle, as you can see. And so from here, I did this about 30 minutes ago. So it's not 100% dry, but it's dry enough that I can pull the tape off. If you wait a little bit longer, I recommend that, but for today's purposes, I'm just gonna pull it off, okay? And so I'm gonna pull the painter's tape off. And I forgot to mention, for this project, I used Typewriter, and I'm going to use Ironstone again, so you can see the beautiful coverage that it provides. But for my basket behind me, I used Typewriter, Boxwood, and Ironstone, and I think that makes a beautiful complement to the mustard yellow Pom-Poms. Okay, back to the project. Okay, so I'm pulling off the painter's tape, and this is so fun to see it come off, because with the crisp white lines, or sorry, the crisp lines, and to get the crisp lines, you need to press firmly into the basket, and I'll show that to you right now. Okay, do a little bit of cleanup. I made a little bit of mess, but don't worry, because cleanup is always a breeze. That's what I love about the milk paint. It's fantastic. Okay, so let me show you. We've got that pretty clean line here. And what I'm gonna do is I want it to butt up the Ironstone right up against the Typewriter, okay? And so for this Typewriter, we're gonna do your standard 1 part milk paint to 1 part water. And again, I'm gonna use a tablespoon. That's a great measurement for me because most of my projects are crafting projects. And so I don't use a whole lot of milk paint, so it's also very inexpensive. Okay, and so I'm just gonna mix that for you here just to show you again how simple it is to mix. So we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of Ironstone and 1 tablespoon of water. Okay, and then I'm gonna mix it. I like to use a whisk, but you can use a fork, you can use a blender, whatever you have. Add a little bit more water. I get distracted when I'm talking, so my measurements aren't always 100%, but that's okay because it shows you just how simple it is to keep working on it. Okay, so that is beautiful. That didn't take long at all. I mean, this new formula is incredible. You really have to try it. And especially Ironstone, really, I was amazed at the coverage of this. It's amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside, and then we're gonna tape off the other end so that you get a nice pretty line again. Okay. So as far as the thickness of the line, it's really up to you. You could do a really fun thin line. You can do something bigger. For today's purposes, I'm just gonna do a thin line. And you're just gonna put the tape directly on and then make sure that it's pressed firmly into the basket. And that's what gets it. It's really a fine line. Okay. Yes, Jen, it's so much easier to mix. It's so fun. I'm so excited. The new Milk Paint. Again, you should check out their website, Miss Mustard Seed's Milk Paint website. There's so much wonderful information on there about all the new formulations and all of the products. Okay. So you're just gonna go all the way around the basket. Try to get it as even as possible. Most of my projects, if you've watched me before, you know this. I'm not very exact, which I know might bother some of you, so I apologize, but it makes it really fun. Creating to me is all about being in the moment and focusing on what you're doing and just having fun along the way. And so I don't normally, unless it's something exact, like I'm making a stocking or a pillow, I don't normally use measurements or mixing milk paint, as you can see. Okay. Okay, so I've made a line all the way around, and then we're gonna do it to the top part. So let me show you what I did. So I determined the thickness here, and now I'm gonna add the paint onto the typewriter so that I can have clean lines throughout. And again, I recommend making sure that your paint is dry before you do this, because otherwise it'll peel up and then it won't create a pretty line. Yes, I get in the zone. Yes, Jen. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna add the top part to it. And again, thank you to Kathy Young for recommending the green painter's tape. It's fantastic. And it makes it so much easier. So we painted all the way around, almost. It's a big basket. Okay. Okay, so now I've added the tape all the way around to both sides, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a crafting paintbrush and just apply the Ironstone to that. I think it's really fun, the mix of the Ironstone and the typewriter, because when I was reading the descriptions about typewriter, it compared it to antique keys on a piano, and I thought that was just beautiful because that's exactly what I see. Okay, let me show you this white. This is one coat, and it is so, it's amazing. Look at it. It's so wonderful. Thank you, Kelly. I definitely think you should try this. I can't wait to see what you do with it. So this white is amazing. And for this project, I recommend 2 coats. You can do 3 coats if you want to do more. But really, the coverage on this Ironstone is phenomenal. As you're painting this, since you have different weaves in your baskets, I do recommend doing a brush stroke, but then kind of dabbing so you can get inside those little nooks and crannies of the basket weave. And I did also want to recommend when you're looking for your baskets, so if you're going to do stripes like this with the painter's tape, I would recommend something with the tight weave like this. But if you're going to stain it, you can do anything. You can have something with more of an open weave, even a tight weave. It's really up to you. But for the stripes, I do recommend something with a tight weave because it might be harder to apply the paint. Okay, so this is one coat on here. And look at that coverage. It's wonderful. So I recommend another coat, and then what you're gonna do is you're going to, once it's dry, so in 30 minutes, an hour, maybe a little bit longer, I recommend slowly peeling the tape off to get this beautiful clean line, like here. So I just did mine all the way around. Again, you could have so much fun with this. You could do a pattern where you do almost a chevron style pattern. You could do stripes all the way down. You could do one color stripe all the way, or you can do horizontal or vertical. It's really up to you. It's so simple. And then of course, because I love a good pom-pom, I love adding whimsy wherever I can. I think it's fun to make a pom-pom. So let's make a pom-pom real quick. And I know this isn't painting, but it just showcases how the milk paint can add whimsy and charm and all these fun things to it. So for my pom-poms, I like using this simple pom-pom maker by Clover, very simple. And I'll do it in real time because it doesn't take long. I also like using this yellow one because the size is fantastic. So I'm just wrapping the yarn around the pom-pom arm. I'm opening it up, wrapping it around the pom-pom yarn. And then I'm going to close it and open up this side, the other arm, and then I'm just going to wrap the yarn around that. And I'm showing this to you because it might inspire you to add more embellishments to your baskets. You can add ribbons, you can add all kinds of fun things that really complement the paint really well. And yes, this pom-pom maker is by Clover. It's one of my favorites. Okay, thank you, Chris. And then you're just gonna snip it. And I've got a blog where I showcase all of the fun milk paint, all of my fun milk paint products, but I also showcase a lot of other fun crafting projects. And I go into more detail on there about how to make pom-poms and all kinds of fun things. So if you ever want to look at that, it's countrypne.com. So now I'm just cutting it down the middle, and then I'm gonna take the yarn to make the actual pom-pom. And you double knot it. And I'm really excited about trying all the new products with Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint. I'm really excited to see what how they play with some of my crafting projects and the upcoming lives that all of these wonderful women have is going to be really fun. So you need to check that out. Okay, so here's my pom-pom. Needs a little haircut. Again, it's just like the milk paint. You just play with it, you have fun with it, and then you end up with a really sweet little pom-pom. And so what I then do, oh, I missed a little guy right here. Okay, so then here I'm just gonna attach it. You can make more, but it just adds a fun element to really showcase almost kind of an art piece where you can set out on your in your living room. You can hold your baskets, and it's just a fun element that I think complements the paint really well. So this one's not done yet, as you see, but let's go back to the original inspiration. I did 3 pom-poms here in a contrasting color. I really like how this one turned out. And I just wanted to highlight, that is, again, the beauty with Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint. You can play into your vintage heart, like mine, or you can go more modern with the stripes. And especially with the new formulation, the way that the milk paint is, it doesn't have a lot of the pigments that kind of stick onto the furniture and your crafting projects. It's a real smooth finish. And so it's beautiful. It's so much fun. So on my stripe, Jen, I used Ironstone, Typewriter, and then Boxwood. And I think it's a fun combination, especially with your mustard yellow pom-poms. So I am ready to put a blanket in here, set it by my couch, and just enjoy for my children to use. So thank you so much for following along today, guys. I am so happy that y'all came, and let me know if you have any questions. And I also wanted to mention, if you have anything you want me to try in the future, I'd love to hear. I always love hearing from people to get inspiration and so forth. So thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.